In order to begin thinking about how to train the mind, you must first assess your own mind. You must understand your mind and see whether it is subdued or not. When we do not ask ourselves this question, it simply does not arise for us. If someone from outside were to say to a person, "Subdue your mind," that person might even feel offended, because everyone believes that everything is fine with their mind. Everyone believes that they are on top, that they are right in their way of seeing, and that they should affirm their mind, establish their mind, and rely on their mind. But on the spiritual path of liberation, especially on the path of contemplation and on any other path, the path of Jnana Yoga in Advaita Vedanta, the process of subduing the mind and cultivating the right qualities of mind comes first. When a sadhu begins to practice concentration and meditation, he discovers that his mind is not subdued at all. Try practicing meditation on emptiness, and you will understand what I mean. You will discover that your mind is like a maddened horse. It does not remain still for a single moment. It constantly rushes from one object to another. Try practicing contemplation in movement in everyday life, during interaction with others. You will also notice that your mind does not want to concentrate on the objects you offer it. It constantly rushes about, jumps, and is endlessly distracted. Moreover, try to remain at all times in impartiality, in love, in a pure state. You will discover that your mind, in an astonishing way, generates completely opposite states over the smallest things. You want to abide in love, in detached contemplation, but your mind turns out to want something entirely different. Your mind wants to dwell in envy, pride, attachment, greed, and many other things. It constantly generates judgments and emotions, and this greatly interferes with our ability to truly abide in crystal clear, lucid, transparent, absolutely fresh, youthful, naked awareness in the state of unity of I and Brahman, unity with God, with Shiva. This greatly interferes with our ability to abide in divine love, in the exalted majesty of God, in purity. The mind obstructs this, and then, with deep regret, we discover that our mind is not subdued, that it is, in fact, like a wild horse that we do not know how to ride at all. At this moment, the sadhu acutely realizes his own imperfection, and this is the first sign that you are beginning to walk the path of holiness. Until you clearly realize your imperfection, until you are struck by the depth of your imperfection before the perfection of God, and until you deeply reflect on this, you will not be able to walk the path of subduing the mind. There is a story about a Tibetan master. He had many disciples and would periodically ask how they were doing. He would be told about them. For example, the master would ask about one disciple, and he would be told that the disciple was seated on a throne, teaching hundreds of students the Dharma, transmitting the Dharma. The master would say that he was doing well. Then he would ask about another disciple. He would be told that this one was translating treatises, writing new books on the Dharma, engaged in a great work, spreading the Dharma. The teacher would exclaim that he was doing excellently. Then he would ask about another. He would be told that the disciple was sitting in a cave, performing very austere practices, reciting mantras, not emerging from meditation, sitting in the lotus posture. Excellent, the master would say. Finally, he asked about a fourth disciple, and how is he living? He was told that this disciple sat in his cell in the monastery and wept from morning till evening, sighing over his imperfection. Then the master said that this person was truly practicing the Dharma. The point is not to weep from morning till evening over one's imperfection. The point is to realize the depth of one's unsubdued mind, to realize how imperfect the mind is, and to completely renounce reliance on it, to detach from it. When a person realizes this, he understands that the mind is not merely the conceptual layer of thoughts, as many believe. The mind also includes ego reactions, an entire layer of emotions, the emotional plane, and a whole layer of images of the subtle body. It includes the storehouse of mental tendencies, chitta, the storehouse of habits, and the reactive, judging mind, manas, and the ego that binds all of this together. He realizes that his mind is vast and complex, and that it does not pertain only to his small personality in the present incarnation. His mind comes from past lives. It is a huge chain of delusions, a massive accumulation of karma. This is what the mind is, a powerful minister that creates an entire universe. And it is precisely this that the sadhu must purify and subdue. When the monk sees how great a task lies before him, he may feel completely bewildered. He understands that he has only one hope, God, because by himself he cannot subdue this karma or this immense mind. This is possible only through divine grace. Thus, there are methods for subduing the mind in the tradition of the sadhus. One such method is complete surrender to God, relying on God always, everywhere, and in everything, and surrendering oneself to divine grace in all circumstances. Gradually, the mind learns to recognize divine grace in every step, every breath, every glance, every action, so that nothing remains outside of God. To rely on divine grace means to see every event as a gift and a blessing from God, to see every situation as the play of God, to see difficulties as God's tests, and to thank God for everything that comes, to always and everywhere see the hand of God, His guidance, His divine providence. When you learn to see divine will, divine signs, divine gifts, and divine play everywhere, your mind gradually develops a taste for devotion, and karmas begin to recede. There are other methods of subduing the mind. One of them is exchanging oneself with others. To exchange oneself with others means to place oneself in the position of another person, not to remain fixed in one's own position, but to attempt to take the opposite one and look at the situation through the eyes of the other. For example, if you're arguing with someone, temporarily adopt their position. Look at the world through their eyes. Feel how they feel, how they see, how they breathe, how they hear you. You may discover that they are right within their own logic, that they act according to their understanding and cannot act otherwise. When you truly understand the position of another, an insight arises. The truth is not in your point of view, nor in theirs. The truth lies beyond all points of view. Elevating one's perspective from a narrow, egoic position to a transcendent one is a method of subduing the mind that arises through this exchange. When one person says, "This does not suit me, I do not like this, this is inconvenient for me," and you categorically insist on the opposite, you are trapped in duality. You have fallen into the Procrustean bed of duality. You will not resolve the problem or escape samsara while holding such a rigid dual position. Opposites never reach agreement. You will not be able to engage in a coherent dialogue while holding such an absolutely dualistic position. For a problem to be resolved and for a process of mutual understanding to begin, opposites must become somewhat similar to one another. They must find something in common with each other. When you exchange yourself with another, you expand your consciousness. It is as if you acquire another body, another personality, another way of seeing. You are no longer one, but two. You see the same problem from different angles, and suddenly you realize that reality is broader and more complex than it seemed. You understand that the matter is not in mental judgments or egoic positions, but in the transcendent source, in universal space, which contains all viewpoints without being polluted by them. Such awareness transforms your vision and subdues the mind. Exchange yourself with others mentally as often as possible, and you will see how flexible, open, spacious, and magnanimous your mind becomes The mind is a substance that can be worked with. The mind is an element that can be trained. It can become flexible, clear, and transparent if it is educated correctly. For a human being, subduing the mind is a primary task. Through practice, everyone must subdue the mind so that it becomes detached from samsara. Such a mind, subdued and purified, is the true treasure of a human being. It is like a magical, wish-fulfilling instrument. Such a mind, like a rocket, will carry you into the kingdom of God because it can move consciousness, dissolve karma, and fulfill the intentions of the practitioner. Many say that the mind must be eliminated or discarded. In a certain sense, this is true. But saints and sacred texts also say that the mind is a universal substance, an infinite vibration that is not limited to the brain. Mental substance is part of the universal matter. How can you stop it? How can you discard it? How can you block it? Even if one tries to do so, such tension will arise that it cannot be endured for long. As long as one lives in this body, in this world, or even in subtle worlds, one must work with the mind and with mental energy. Therefore, the saints propose another path. Instead of destroying the mind, subdue it, and, once subdued, make it an obedient instrument in service of Dharma,